Hey, what's up? This is Mikey for Blue Monkey Bicycles, and I've got some e-bike news for you. Colorado Springs gets down with the times, e-bike sales are up, and tax credits for e-bikes. Let's boogie. Hey guys, where you been? The city of Colorado Springs declares that e-bike access on city trails will be permitted in a year-long pilot program starting on May 31st. I was actually there not long ago just covering Pikes Peak, and I kind of like the place. And this new program makes me like Colorado Springs a little bit more. Very little bit. Why? This is actually just a year-long program, and I'm not really sure why they don't just make it permanent. The bikes that they're allowing are Class 1 pedal assist only, and not even the 20 mile per hour Class 1, but they want to limit it further to 15 miles per hour. This is like the bare minimum they could possibly commit to. To me, it seems like the city of Colorado Springs is all acting like they can enforce this, but the reality is that other e-bikes will be on their trails and have been on their trails. In Germany, they have oppressive e-bike laws, and somehow guys like this are making automatic crossbows out of e-bike motors with what would be illegal motors on two wheels.
Meet the e-bike engine-powered, full-auto, full-size crossbow machine gun.
I guess it's a good thing that Colorado's getting down with the times. There's a lot of people who think that electric bikes are illegal for all reasons, so I understand why they got to clear the air. But nonetheless, I think it should be permanent, and I think they should expand it to a lot of different bikes, not just Class 1. Moving on, the New York Times shared an NPD Group report that e-bike sales were up 145% in the year 2020. We now finally have a solid number for what we've been seeing in the industry for a long time. While the pandemic will go down in history, along with segments of our economy, ever since the pandemic started, e-bike sales have been through the roof. This article reads, quote, "Bike categories that catered to families and recreational and newer riders grew better than more performance-oriented bikes," said Dirk Sorensen, a sports industry analyst at NPD. This is exactly where e-bikes shine, with new riders, families, and recreational bikes. Bullseye. Right on target. This is actually good news, and it's actually bringing some growing pains, as I've learned from some of my friends who got bike companies. It's good because sales are up and all, the money's flowing, but it's bad because e-bikes wind up being postponed for delivery a long time. Think of it this way. The big companies like Giant, Trek, and the big boy European companies, they make big orders for critical parts that wind up becoming low in supply. If there's only a few factories on Earth that make a particular part, when they get maxed out for capacity for the year, they just stop taking orders. As it turns out, those factories can't make anything for the small bike companies. There are solutions on the horizon. Parts factories are starting to expand. The smaller part factories are actually getting their time to shine as well. But yeah, a lot of bike companies are delivering bikes now that people had paid for 9 months ago, or sometimes worse. Some slippery companies have even charged restocking fees for people who want their money back after a long wait, and they never even got a bike in the first place. I might cover that in another day, but I'm kind of getting sidetracked. Let's go on to the next story. This one's kind of old, but I still want to talk about it. Purchase incentives for e-bikes. Going on a segment written by Ford, they put it pretty well, quote, "Jimmy Pineda, a Democrat from California, and Earl Blumenauer, a Democrat from Oregon, both members of the House of Representatives, recently introduced the Electric Bicycle Incentive Kickstart for the Environment Act." This kind of reminds me of like those slams against car companies like, "Hey, you know what Ford stands for? Fix or repair daily." Anyways, continuing on with the story about the e-bike act, which, among other proposals, would provide purchasers of e-bikes an income tax credit equal to 30% of the cost of the bike, up to a maximum credit of $1,500. The goal, the two men stated, is to reduce carbon emissions, citing a recent study that found that if 15% of car trips were made with an e-bike, such emissions would drop by 12%. If this winds up becoming tax law, a lot of people are going to be buying e-bikes, particularly the cheap ones. You could now get a usable e-bike for less than $500. But you want to know what I really think about this? I kind of worry every time that the government steps into our lives. E-bike prices have already gone way down in the last few years. This bike, the Felt Sport E, was $4,000 just a few years ago. And now you can get a bike that is similarly equipped, called the Batch Bicycles E-Commuter, for $2,000 big ones. And it's the same. You can both buy it in-store from a dealership that puts it all together in the whole 9 yards. This is really good for everyone, and it's been happening naturally. I think this kind of market interference from this tax incentive might actually hurt the natural competition of electric bikes, which I believe are entering a golden era right about now. We have a wealth of options from mini bikes, folders, fancy high-end European, and cheap Chinese movers in all their varieties. Prices have come down, and I think they will continue to go down. I know there's really nothing I can do about it, but I really don't want the government noticing e-bikes because restrictions, taxes, registration, and all of that will wind up following.
From my cold, dead hands.
But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section below, because the channel is small enough I'm going to be answering pretty much every single comment. You know how it goes. I'm Mikey for Blue Monkey Bicycles, and I will see you guys on later.